it's interesting, isn't it, that in picture post time, nobody ever talked about an assignment. That had no currency, that word. You went on a story. How did your story go, they say? As if we...
That's box camera Blackpool. There she is. That's me. But these are astonishing, you know, as candid camera pictures done with a box camera. That wasn't posed, that wasn't posed. Just enough movement to raise the skirt. Amazing how that picture's lasted.
And then Bert sat them on the rails. At that very moment, the wind blew. That was luck. Now that, people used to say, Bert, very lucky photographer. And he was. I mean, it made incredible news, that picture. The number of ladies who said it's them, but unfortunately, we know who they are.
And Bert had said to Brian, apparently, you don't need a good camera, you don't need a posh camera to take a posh picture. All you need is the man behind it. So Brian had challenged him and said, OK, box brownie, go and do your job. And this is how they turned up at the North Pier that Friday night. We'd been deprived in our childhood. I mean, I remember my father coming back with some very nice red meat, and he told us that it was beef. We've discovered many years later it was horse meat. I'm cringing now at the thought of it. But things were so scarce, and that was how we only expected it to be scarce. We didn't expect to have Easter eggs. We didn't expect to have anything much at Christmas, because that's how it was. And then suddenly there was this freedom, and of course women had gained their freedom in the war years by going out to work while the men were away. And money was more available coming into the 50s because a lot of women, they'd liked what they'd been doing in the war and continued to work. And so really this was striking a freedom for all women. And that was good. I think that was very good.
Well, you were saying to me, you know, was optimism in the air? Well, by 1954, I would say it was. We now have the National Health Service up and running. Buildings were being built, but as I said, it always seems to me that when all this idea of the utopia that lay ahead if you built new towns in the middle of nowhere and high-rise flats leaving mothers with 2 children 24 flights up in the sky, you weren't doing them any favour. And anyway, utopia doesn't exist. It's a no place. Whereas they had very strong communities. If a young couple wanted to go out for the evening, they had grandparents and aunts and uncles in all the streets round about them. And that was made for a very cohesive community. Instead of which, these people, with their best intentions in the world, I presume, plus wanting to make some money, did all these other things and broke up these communities. And we've never quite recovered from that, and that seemed to me, and I was sensing, even as I sat talking to my women in the pub during those 4 nights, that I was about to capture something that was on the way out, because they were all older women. They were all women who'd been through 2 world wars and the Depression in the middle. So they were, in a sense, survivors. They were tough women. But you sensed that whatever they were and whatever their values were through having suffered all this, the next generation were expecting something else. And I'm now old enough to know that if you go after the something else, there's a price to pay. And it was the loss of the communities. That was the price they paid. And that's a great pity.